name is Joy Jones, and I'm the Senior CLT Student Success Coordinator in the Department of Middle and High School Education at Lehman College. Welcome to the MHSE podcast. The primary objective of this podcast is supporting student success at Lehman College, specifically within MHSE and getting them plugged in on campus. We'll be helping students bridge the gap by providing them access to the support they need to achieve their goals. To that end, we have Tiffany DeJaynes with us today. She's the director for the School and College Collaboratives in the Lehman College School of Education and an associate professor in the English Education program within middle and high school education. So to start this podcast, I just want to share a quote with you that informs my work. So in my role as CLT, I love working with the goal of being a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. So I like to ask my guests, is there a quote that they have which informs their work? Tiffany, do you have a quote that informs your work?
You know, I filter everything that we do in the center through the phrase Bronx teachers for Bronx schools. It's not original to me. It was a tagline of a prior Math Up grant that Nikki Fain and some other folks put together. But it's really my North Star in the work that I do when we're thinking about going after grants. I really ask, who is it going to benefit? And so if it's not primarily benefiting Bronx teachers who are going to enter Bronx schools, then it's not something we are primarily interested in. That's not to say that we don't serve many schools, districts, and students from Yonkers, Westchester, Harlem, river towns, or even Brooklyn or Queens. We do, and we're happy to serve them. But I
I
think that
love
if the
that.
work we're doing, the grants we're writing, the programs we're building don't prioritize the Bronx as our primary beneficiary, then we're missing the mark. And as the only senior CUNY college in the Bronx, we have a mandate. Everything we put our energy into needs to be connected to preparing highly qualified teachers for our community.
I love that. That makes so much sense. Tiffany, can you tell us about access or lack of access, which impacted you directly?
So I'm a first generation college student, and I didn't know what I was doing when I was applying to college, and I didn't make the best first choice. I chose a non-accredited school where some of my friends were going, and I didn't really think it through. And when I wanted to transfer after my first year, it was really tricky. I almost
Mm,
lost the entire year of credits, and I was very
wow.
panicked about that. Um, However, I had a really supportive and also really persistent family. My dad, who was an iron worker, suggested we see what the small local private school would say. He's very much like a system worker. He's always looking for a way to make something work out. A trait
Totally.
that I think I may have inherited. Um, and so this small private school admitted me, and they accepted my credits conditionally, provided that I did well my first semester, and that was it. But really that came from not knowing much about going to school, having to sort of go through that. And transferring schools successfully was probably the most important challenge I faced on my journey towards becoming a certified English teacher in the
Mhm.
state of Missouri and then in New York. And I feel really lucky that I had family who was supportive and figured it out with me. None of us knew what we were doing. And the work that we do in the center feels really connected to this for me, particularly our Careers in Teaching grant, which serves primarily first generation college students. Advisors on that project regularly sit with students and help them figure out how to become teachers. How to make student teaching happen. That full semester can be kind of hard to figure out, how to pay for their studies, and generally how to balance everything in their lives.
I love that because equity is a buzzword that's going around, but really a lot of that is tied into access. So it's really important that we think about the access that we do have and that we don't have. So a follow up to that is, since you had some challenges with access and knowledge from your background of being a first generation college student, how are you helping to bridge the access disparity with your work at the center?
So I think a lot about my high school students when I think about this question. English teachers are always thinking about what kinds of communication skills we need to bring to our students to try to help them be more successful in their educational journeys and in their lives. So a lot of the curriculum I designed when I was a high school teacher was framed around inquiry. How do I locate and make sense of information that will help me make the best decisions? That's a huge part of our life, and our work in the center is really deeply connected to that.
Oh, great. That sounds so exciting. Can you tell me a little bit more about the work that you all do at the center?
We really set a goal this year to increase funding at the center. That's been our goal, is how do we make it more possible for Lehman students to complete degrees in education? And I'm really excited to announce we found out a couple of days ago that we were awarded New York State Education's My Brother's Keeper Teacher Opportunity Corps 2 or Talk 2 grant, which will begin on September 1st. It's a nearly $1 million grant, just shy of it.
Wow.
And it's truly an important complement to the work we've been doing this year to become like the Teacher Education Research Center or the hub for the Lehman College School of Education. So we've put a lot of effort into collaborating and coordinating between existing funded programs. And we all moved into the Carmen 176 suite upstairs so that we can just be a place where students know they can come and ask about several different programs that will support them on their journeys towards becoming teachers.
That's so exciting that there is a hub for resources for our School of Education students. So can you let us know who is eligible for these services?
Sure. I mean, I liked what you said in the beginning about this podcast being really about helping students become more plugged in. And that's really
Yes.
why we wanted to have this hub, this sort of immediate place where students can get plugged in and connected. So who is eligible? It depends on the grant, but I would like to say that if you are an undergraduate or graduate student in the Lehman School of Education, it is very likely that we have a program for you. And we'll include some links to the various programs. And I might also say it's possible we may have more than one program available to you. My colleague, Larry Patterson, who is the program manager of New York City Men Teach, shared in an event we were doing with students recently that students come to their office and they always think that they can't be part of more than one program. And he always tells them, you absolutely can. We want to plug you into as many opportunities as possible to support your journey. And so that's really, our mission and what we're doing. And we want to be able to find a program that works for every student and a support system and as much financial support as we can find. So just in brief, I would say the Careers in Teaching program serves undergraduate students. The Noyce Focus on STEM grant provides funding for math and science graduate students. The LUT STEM program, which stands for Lehman Urban Transformative Education, and then STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, funds really students across the School of Education who are willing to do a computer science micro-credential. Focus on STEM and LUT STEM are both residency models, which means they fund a year of field work in a school, which is a great opportunity because it essentially pays for student teaching that semester where you're going to be working in a school to become certified, but also it gives you the whole year working with a master teacher. And then finally, we also have Leap to Teacher, who just moved into our offices, and they support mostly Department of Education paraprofessionals or anyone already affiliated with the UFT or the Teachers Union.
Wow, that is so exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of those resources with our listeners. Just also keep in mind that we will put some of these links in the show notes, so you don't have to get your pen and paper out or make any notes. We're going to share those links with you. And just to do a quick housekeeping item, where are you located? Where can students find you?
I'm glad you asked. It can be a little bit tricky to find us. As I said, we're in Carmen 176. And I actually think the easiest way to get there is to go through the Carmen Hall cafeteria on the first floor of Carmen, and then take the door past the coffee and hot food bar. And then you'll see our big bulletin boards in the hallway and our brochures, and just come on through that door. And we've got a nice new sofa and like a student lounge. Come on in. We'll have folks who can greet you and tell you about the different programs.
That's exciting. Everybody knows where to get coffee in Carmen. So if you keep past that area, you'll find the center. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today on the MHSE Access podcast. We hope you'll join us again sometime as you launch new services that we have to support our students. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for your time, Joy. This was really fun.
All right.